itself, but finding explanations for things that relate to other things. What we're talking about in the moment of singularity is when the system was constructed that will allow all these explanations to exist. I don't believe that science could ever prove what happened right before. It doesn't even make sense to ask what happened before time began. If you would like to defend that hypothesis that science will eventually answer that question, and so we should wait for that explanation, I'd like to hear that. But in terms of what we're trying to do with explaining what happened at that moment of singularity, when we don't know, we form hypotheses. And Occam's razor says that we go with the explanation that is the simplest, but that covers the most facts. I believe that the argument for the divine creator is the simplest and covers the most facts. Given scientific facts, mathematical facts about the universe, we have to postulate perhaps an infinite number of unobservable universes, or simply the appearance of a highly, highly unlikely event, so improbable as to be impossible, if we want to avoid the notion of the divine creator causing this thing instead of it generating itself. And we don't have a way of proving this, going back to the beginning. So what we have to do in the face of a lack of knowledge is talk about probabilities. We might not think that it makes sense to talk about probabilities in the case of the creation of universes, because we can't do it again. We can't run a multitude of tests. But we do know a lot of things about the forces of the universe, and what it does and does not permit. So I think we can make assertions about things involving those forces, and what they continually show is high, high probability of these things happening by themselves. So in terms of the logic of forming this hypothesis, I say that we go with what we usually go with. The thing that seems the most probable covers the facts the simplest.
I'd just like to add that scientists can say we're still looking for an explanation for forever. I mean, taking that worldview to its logical conclusion, then we should still be looking for a solution to the Konigsberg bridge puzzle, or how to make 1 + 1 = 3, saying we just haven't figured it out yet, but someday science will find a way. My point is, there comes a moment when God is the more reasonable explanation.
Would you like to? Yeah.
You said that science hasn't found a way to say that 1 + 1 = 3 yet. But the problem with making that metaphor is that 1 + 1 = 2 is an explanation in and of itself. We're saying that the origin of the universe doesn't have an explanation yet that is concrete, and that's vastly different than saying we just haven't found a separate explanation for it or a separate way of explaining it. And going on about what science can't do and what science can't find is usually proves people wrong in the end. Like one of my favorite examples is people, a few decades ago, thought computers would only take up a whole room in your house, and then I can carry it around in my book bag now. So that's just it's ridiculous saying that we can't do something, because then you're just negating any sort of thing in the future that we don't have knowledge of. One last thing, and then I'll pass it off to you if you have something, is you at the beginning define God as a being who is all-knowing and all-powerful, but then you turn around and complain to us that we are postulating an infinite regression. But by defining God in that way, you've already given him 2 infinite qualities. So it doesn't really work that way to define God as all-powerful and all-knowing, because he's infinite as well.
Yeah, sure. I believe, and I'm not trying to misquote you here, but my understanding of what you said is that you think that science is at a point where you pretty much can know everything about the Big Bang, or that natural explanations are just about exhausted. I mean, 80 years ago we didn't know about plate tectonics, and you're ready to give up on theoretical physics. I think you might be a little bit premature there. There are some things that we do know about the Big Bang. We know that had we been there, I mean, it would be nothing like we could possibly imagine. It's nothing like we know right now in the world. There was no gravity, there's no strong or weak nuclear force, no electromagnetic force. None of that. There was no time. All of the matter in the universe was condensed into space about the size of a proton. Again, there was no before, and asking what came before the Big Bang is something akin to asking what's north of the North Pole. It's a nonsensical question. And bringing up Occam's razor, again, Occam's razor is the idea that the simplest explanation is often the best. You know, if we have two explanations which explain something equally, yet one is much more complicated, in general, the simpler one is more likely to be correct. And bringing up Occam's razor in an argument for the existence of God is just, I mean, that kind of goes, by definition, the opposite of what Occam's razor is. To go back to the word that you made, the prime mover argument, that is that everything that exists has to have a beginning. The universe exists, therefore the universe had a beginning, it was created. You know, what do we think created the universe? Well, what created the universe? I would simply ask, well, what created God? You know, if you say God created the universe, again, what created God? You believe God exists, what created it? You don't know, neither do I. Why not simply have the courage to say, I don't know, and skip a step, and just say, I don't know? You could argue that God always existed. Well, again, I could argue that the universe always existed. Why not save a step and leave it at that? I mean, second of all, you don't know what created the universe, you don't know how God did it or anything like that. And you're defaulting to God because there is no concrete natural explanation yet. And the interesting thing about that is that it's sort of illogical. You're saying, I don't know what created the universe, therefore I know God did it. I mean, that's not necessarily logical because you're stating that you don't know and you're concluding that you know. I mean, it's kind of it's a non-starter there. Additionally, the other problem with everything that exists has to have a creator is that it's an intuitive assumption, which is basically, in very complicated situations, not applicable. I mean, for all practical purposes, the Earth is flat. I mean, it doesn't look like it curves to me. It's only when we think outside the box and we get more information that we realize that it's round. And I don't mean to compare their position to stating that the Earth is round or flat. I mean, that's not what I'm trying to do. It's simply pointing out that arguments from intuition are simply invalid when it comes to very, very complicated things. And due to the fact that the Big Bang was nothing like we understand, I mean, it's difficult to find a situation where arguments from intuition could apply less.